explain. Well, APRS is a much better insurance for retirement. I'm sorry, retirement than what we have now, and it's has a lot better benefits and something our employees would like to go to. And a lot of these new hires, or when we're out looking to hire new people for our jobs, a lot of times they ask, are we on APRS? And we say no, and they're no longer interested in the job. So it's another tool in our toolbox to help hire and retain good employees. So, Mayor?
You know, we started talking about this several years back, and last year during the budget committee meetings for the 25 budget, we put it in the budget. You approved it, and at that time, Judge said, "Hey, will you be bringing it back to the council?" So that's what we're doing now, is bringing it back to this committee to present to the council. And the best way I can define APRS is it's going to ensure that every employee, when they retire, when they reach that age of retirement, they're going to get a 3% COLA every year. Where the present program, it's fixed. They get the exact same amount month after month when they retire. And I've heard that from several of the employees that have worked for the city that's retired, and they said, "Well, we're not getting a raise." I said, "Well, that's called a defined benefit." So, you know, we did this for police years ago, moving them to Loppy. We did it for the fire department. Now it's time to do it for the non-uniform because it's equivalent to Loppy. APRS is for the non-uniform, the same as Loppy. And I guess the best way I can say, I know that Terry tried to hire an animal control officer in the last couple weeks, and his last question was, "Do you have APRS?" And we were ready to offer him the job, and Terry said no. And he said, "Well, I'm not interested. I don't want to lose what I've already got invested in APRS, and so I won't be coming." It's kind of like a teacher. You know, I've got 38 years experience as a teacher, and you take a teacher that's got 15 years of experience, she only lacks 13 more years before she gets to retirement. Now, she could go to a private school and make a little bit more money, but she's not going to do it because they don't have APRS. Same way here. We missed a lot of great employees over the last 4 years just because we're not in APRS. I also believe it's going to help us retain employees because with the percentage that the city will be putting in and what the employee will be putting in, it's a great retirement system. Now, are there going to be some hiccups? With every change, there are a few hiccups. But we always say we want to do what's best for our employees. Been saying it for years. This is the best thing for non-uniform employees, and it puts them online with what we did for the police and fire. We have met with APRS, had a good long meeting with them last week, Thursday, I believe, and they've answered a lot of questions. Matter of fact, they've called me 4 times today with questions, and I told them I'd probably know more after tonight's meeting with the questions. But what it requires to go to APRS is a resolution that has a start date on it, and so we're presenting this to you, the Personnel Committee, tonight. Andy, if I left anything out?
Our proposed start date is July 28th. That gives us enough time to educate the employees on what does this mean for them, and if any decide that they want to retire.
Employees will this affect, or does it all non-uniformed employees?
It's all non-uniformed. It's 88 employees right now.
Okay.
Well, it's not part-time.
Correct.
It's all full-time.
Okay.
I want to make sure that everyone's clarified.
And the annual cost, not just this year because it's only half a year, but that we're adding to the general fund will be what?
About 200,000.
200,000.
Now, that all has to depend on what some of the employees decide once it's off, because we have some that could actually retire our whole system because they have 28 years or so many years in. And then if that's the case, if they choose to do that, it will be less money, less of a cost. It kinda depends on.
And do we, the percent the city is gonna increase in retirement is how much?
We're gonna, the city, the city is gonna pay 5% more than what we presently pay. Employees pay 2%. So that, if you add that up, that gives about 20% investment of every.
Okay. So the,
At 5% is that 200,000.
Right,
This year
right,
it'll be 100,000. Next year.
Right.
No different. Actually, it's cheaper for us to convert to non-uniform than it was to convert to fire or the police. Think.
Employee has been here for, say, 5 years, and now that you remove the
They're
investment in the,
acres you have, once we'll have to buy the same number of years for all. Let's say we buy 10 years, start off with fraud. People have 10 years. The difference is, right now, you gotta have 15 years to be vested with the program we got. With an acre, you gotta have 5 years. As long as we buy that 5 years that employee is talking about, they're good to go. No, because you gotta remember that defined retirement benefit package that you presently have sum of money. We're gonna use that sum of money to buy the year. What April said is, I can't buy 5 years for me and 6 years for you, 10 years for you. It's gotta be the same number of years for each employee. That's the reason we have to pay. Then he only gets credit for 5. Well, if we buy 10, we get credit for 10. We're planning to buy hits. Yeah. Expect to buy phases program or expect to buy based on something. Well, the use part, you got to remember the state. The use part, once we buy, say we buy 10 years, you got 10, you got 5. Your fund is an E fund. So everyone within that range is fine. Buy additional fund. Well, that's what the base is, but not at one. Well,
$6,965 that I would be losing right off the bat. So,
First, they said everything, but
Further questions?
Me personally, it does affect 12 of my employees. Like the mayor said, we've already moved the uniform personnel to Lotfy many, many years ago. The current city retirement, although I don't know it thoroughly, it does concern me, and it's not as good as Lotfy, nor is it as good as APERS. And I think she's in a unique situation, but I also heard that it doesn't cover part-time employees either. I believe your position's part-time, is it not? Oh, okay. Well, so, other than her unique situation, which y'all need to deal with, but for the other employees that I can see, it's a benefit, and that's just my opinion.
Well, the big thing that I want to say is that I've been for APERS since day one, because over the past 12 years, I've had 4 people that come to, potentially was good candidates to come to work for us, but because we wasn't on APERS, they wouldn't come. Not saying we've got good employees, but what APERS will do is, it's gonna open up another pool of employees that we can draw from. And, it's just a good thing. Yeah, you might think it's gonna cost a little more, but the benefits are gonna outweigh, the cost and everything. And I'm one of them unique individuals. I've been on APERS for over 12 years and retirement. And it sure is nice to have it come July the 1st, we get a 3% raise, so it's a good thing. And I know under the current one, whenever my retirement comes up, whatever it is, it's gonna be what it is. So I think it'd be a good thing for the city to do is, get those 80 employees on the APERS.
Yep, go ahead, sir. I know that Terry said that he's lost for candidates for a job because they asked the question if we were on APERS, and we said we're not. There's a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but some people, when they look at the job application, when they see that the retirement is not APERS, they don't even bother calling and requesting an interview. So it's a game changer, and I think it'd be good for the city and for our employees. Retired 8 years, and in my retirement, I get increase every year, and it's built in. And I'd hate to know I was still making what I was making 8 years ago, and so I feel for the employees under the old system. I think that this would really help our city, because our city is our employees. And that's what,
just curious, since I'm not on the retirement system, what do employees currently contribute now? 4%. So they're gonna be contributing less. You said 2%. Is that a solid?
6%.
Okay, so they'll be contributing 2% more than they're currently contributing now. Okay, so,
This is a specific question. Was it July 28th? You said, if I retired July 27th under the current plan, I just throw a number out, say I get 500 a month. If I retired July 29th under the APRS plan, would I still be getting 500 a month?
So there's lots of variables that play into that situation between your age, the date that you're actually gonna take your distribution, and years of service. So that's more of a one-on-one, and everybody's different. So that's something we'd have to sit down and work out your retirement calculation on this one and work out your retirement calculation on this one, to be able for you to make an informed decision on the two different plans.
Okay, but that can be done.
Absolutely, and we plan to do that with each person, that whether their years of service or whether their age gets them to that magic point to where it might make sense for some of them to go ahead and retire before the 28th.
So they won't know, they really won't know until they see that comparison.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I have.
I have one other question. So I'm gonna use Bruce as an example. So June or August, when he gets paid, he's gonna bring home 2% less. He'll bring home 2%.
And it's portable. So if we had an employee that could come from, say, Bryant or the county, they could bring their retirement years with them, or, the county could get one of our employees to go that direction. So it's one of the selling points that I think Lofty has for any of our uniforms, is we can lure people from other municipalities over to us. I think this has the same draw.
Or from the county.
County.
Mr. Mayor, you're on the resolution, and Cindy has the right to opt in or opt out, correct?
That's what we.
Okay, Cindy, you clear on that? It's not in a resolution. I guess we can add it to the resolution.
Baxter's got it. He can. He heard back from him.
So are you? That's what we have to do. Yep, I don't want to see Cindy get messed up. I want to make sure she's taken care of. Any other comments, questions?
I think under section 2, yeah, I think under section 2, he could just change that to say that they, instead of shall be members, he can change it to, yes. Yes, one resolution, but it encapsulates it all.
Just get him to amend it. have a second? Second. And a motion and a second to amend the original resolution. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Measure passes.
Now, one of the things is when this resolution is actually voted, it'll have to be a line call vote, for the minutes. It can't be all in favor. So that one to change it was
Yeah,
fine, but the next one will have to go by
We do that.
person.
Well, we do that on every one of them, but for the committee, we do it.
Right.
And so do I have a motion on adopting the resolution, the amended resolution for us joining APERS? So moved. Motion and a second. Any further discussion from the audience? Council members? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, council. I appreciate it. I know the employees appreciate it. That's, any other business for the committee? This committee meeting is adjourned.
Okay, good evening. We're going to start the established quorum, call this meeting to order for the City of Benton Finance Committee meeting. It's Monday, May the 12th. And Chairman Steve Brown, I understand he had a conflict. He's at a conference. So I'll be facilitating the meeting this evening. Go ahead and recognize our attendees, starting with Alderman Ham to my left.
Jeff Ham.
The lines.
Jeff Morrow.
Mandy Spicer?
Bill Donner.
Okay, the first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the April 14th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that particular item? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, our next item on our agenda is the Benton Utilities March 2025 Finances Update from Jimmy Garrett. You can do that? Thank you.
I just want to say, if you could talk Mr. Peterson into going on APERS, that would make me pretty happy. But why? Have 24 years in the system. No, I'm way too young. No, that gray beard makes it look that way. So for March, our revenues are over expenses, 854,000. For year-to-date, that's 2.2 million. That's up 266,000 from this time last year, the month. Year-to-date, it's up 1.3 million. Again, I'd like to emphasize that we still have a lot of ongoing projects that we've budgeted that we have not spent those funds on. And if you included what we budgeted per month, we would be right at about, year-to-date, about 300,000 total revenue over expenses. Wasn't really anything that stood out a lot in March. We did have, in the water, we had a large payment, around 95,000 for tap fees for the apartments. Is it the Greens apartment? Yeah, Long Hills. Get them all confused. That expansion over there. We also had in wastewater, a little under $200,000 payment, that the contractor paid us their portion for, I believe it's a cottage wall project going on. Other than that, everything was pretty stable. Sales were down for the month. If you look, I won't skip to it just yet, but the last 3 pages are billing statistics, and you can see that there. The next page, page 3, is our capital outlay budget. Again, you can see for March, we spent $207,000 on capital projects. I tried to go through and see, Mr. Peterson could probably weigh in and help me here if I'm wrong, but I do believe most of the projects have gotten started, are underway, so. And then again, page 4, 5, and 6 are the monthly billing statistics that have number of accounts billed, like for electric kilowatt hours billed, water gallons billed, sewer gallons billed. And again, I want to say, in reference to those statistics, it's not a good comparison to the prior year numbers because it was a different system. Once we get to May, apples to apples. If there's any questions, I will be happy to.
It's basically on schedule, as you know. They have actually laid all the way to past the Methodist Church, the main line. What they've done is brought in a second crew. There's a valve over there on Sevier Street that is closed currently. And they've went and submitted some, pressure tested and submitted samples to the health department for this section all the way over to the Sevier Street, okay? They are now tying in these services to, these facilities, onto the new line from that location all the way back to basically right here in front. They hope to have that done by the end of this week. Once we get all services tied into the new line, we will then be able to go in and cut and cap the old line. And once that happens, it'll be ready for next steps. And I know, John has been working with Dwayne, who's over that department, and our project manager associated of when that gets done, being able to come back in and get the downtown part overlaid. You know, way down there. So that's where we're at. We're finding things as we go. We've ran into some issues. Luckily, one of them was the mayor's son that we probably had the biggest issue with that I've heard about. But otherwise, you know, have some obstacles, some stuff in there. We're just like, ooh, okay, didn't know about that. But you're talking about stuff that's been in the ground for a lot of years. So I think it's gonna be really good once it gets done, your fire flows. And I could show y'all some stuff. As y'all know, a big thing with the EPA is getting rid of lead services. Basically, everything along this route has what they call a lead gooseneck. The connection from the main to the line has a piece of lead in it about this long. So this isn't only improving the fire flow capability in this area, it's also taking care of issues associated with long-term once, we do get final ruling on how we're gonna have to address some of these issues associated with lead on the water lines. Again, thank you for that.
Todd, when is that supposed to be done, the overall?
If I remember right, Andy, it was 6 months? 6
It would
months?
be wrapped up by February.
Yeah. The main thing is we wanted to get through the downtown area. Now we're headed down Sevier, so I think it was 6 month total, time frame. So, yeah, I would say 3 more months, 2 to 3 months. Depending on what they run into.
Have y'all, how are we on spending all our federal funds that we had to have spent by, end of this year?
That's it, this is that project.
Right.
That.
It'll be
he's-
spent.
Do we,
There's will be.
it's the end of this year, correct? Is that
No.
what?
26.
Into 26.
The funds that were allocated to,
Right.
for the utilities, we will actually, this project came in over those allocated amounts, but, the city has executed the contract, so it's fully through them, and then we're gonna reimburse the difference between what y'all allocated to us and, the total amount, just because, again, now we literally will have a 12-inch water line tied all the way from the interstate, all the way down river, and it's a big loop through. And that's, and either side of that is tied off of the 16-inch line. So improving flows through this area is going to help, will help the area tremendously.
Then one last question. Have y'all had many complaints regarding, the rearrangement of how the costs are gonna be done, how the cost adjustment?
will
I'm
not-
just curious, y'all, from your perspective, I know we didn't at the city meetings, but did y'all have any, or have y'all,
When you say rearranging of the cost, like the
well,
power
power
cost,
cost adjustment?
we
that
will,
do?
until we bill it, nobody will say a word. Just like you saw, yeah, and that's July, they'll see the first bills, and again, we're looking at, I will say, the capacity cost came in higher. I talked about at the last meeting, remember during our PUC meeting, our capacity cost came in, the market cleared at a much higher rate than I expected, and what the experts expected. It was higher than expected. But even with that, what I am seeing currently, how prices are settling in the market on the day ahead and capacity, I think we're still going to be better off than our current price. I can tell you, we're going to be way better than what we were quoted for a fixed price contract. Remember, we were originally quoted to take that 50%, and we went to and asked for fixed pricing that, and it was in the mid-60s, okay, is what they had quoted us. And it's currently in the, we'll say between the mid-40s and 40 is where it currently is. So I think we're going to be able to be right there where we're at. I've heard. And we won't until we put it on the bill. I mean, it's just on. Right. And as of right now, I am seeing, because what I saw last summer is with all the solar that is getting built, and you have other generations still online, you're seeing that solar drive prices down, believe it or not. Because it's an energy. It doesn't help on capacity, it helps on energy only. That's right. And that's one of the things I worry about is people look at it and go, well, my bill went up. Your usage went up. People look at their bills, typically, most people look at their bills and go, well, last month I paid $100 and now it's 150. Oh, you used more, but it still should be $100. It doesn't work that way,
Any more questions for the utility department? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, the next several items, we have 6 resolutions in our normal order of business here. Nothing too controversial or pretty much ordinary, so we'll just go right through the list. On item 5 on your agenda, we have the Benton Senior Center contract. And again, last year, this was taken over by CareLink, the Benton Senior Center, and we approved the general fund to fund the utilities as well as the management fee, and this came out to $3,750 per month. Now, CareLink recently sent out requests for proposals for management of the center and did not receive adequate responses. I don't know what's meant by not adequate responses. They came in too high?
They didn't have any.
They didn't have any. Okay. That's not adequate. Okay. The request is to renew the current contract for another year at the same rate. So we need to pass a resolution. Any questions regarding this particular item?
Fund, is that correct?
Just curious, as far as CareLink goes, they manage Bryant Senior Center or any others?
And we pay their utilities as well, correct? Or is that part?
General fund pays for both the management and the utilities.
And do y'all believe that this will be a long-term concern? They're gonna run
currently does the senior center pay for? Do they pay any, I mean, are they employees, I assume? We're not. Terry's on senior council, I just got on. Not because I'm a senior.
I was gonna ask, I knew he was, but I didn't,
Mayor, I go on the Sling County Council on Aging. Oh, sorry. Is it on? The mayor and I are both on the Sling County Council on Aging Board. The mayor's he's a new board member. He drew a 3-year term. Like myself, I've been on there for a while, but yes, you want to know how many employees they have? Well, the council, the Sling County Council on Aging, they've got a big investment in it also. We send a check to Carolyn for $6,250 every month. And we did a 1-year commitment, this past November when they took over, Carolyn did. So we're invested in it also. We do fundraiser, Old Fashioned Day. The funds that's raised for Old Fashioned Day goes, to run help that 6250. Plus we're paying SCAT we have a lot of seniors that don't have transportation, to the center. So we fund that also. That's about $600 a month is what the councils pay. Because that's another one of those things that they cut out. One of it was transportation. And I know the seniors that live here in Benton that don't have transportation, the only hot meal they're gonna get is when they get picked up and brought to the center every day. Yes, sir. Yeah, and they're doing that program.
Senior citizen, the senior center is open 7 days a week?
5 days a
5
week.
days, Monday
Yes,
through
sir.
Friday.
Right now, we're doing, we have to do at least 80 a day. That's a minimum. You know, that might change up or down depending on what the meal is for that day. That's just lunch. Under the, yeah, under the older American acts come down from the feds, we can't charge you for the meal. But we can only ask for a donation, which is $3. If you don't pay the $3, you still get to eat. Only time you don't get to eat is if you come late and they've already, made all the meals. They're out of food. That's a federal law. That's federal law. That you can only ask for a donation. But, yeah, so it's gonna be at least, it's gonna be at least, 80. I know, on Thursdays and Tuesdays, they have a increase because they have bingo. So folks show up for bingo on Thursday. Plus it was lasagna this past Thursday and it was pretty good. So I think they had close to 100.
How old do you have to be to sign up?
60 years old.
hey, watch it, Mayor.
Actually, I think it's went up because when the River Center was built and they moved into that new facility, it provided more space for the seniors to have more activities. pool, volleyball, everything like that. And one of the things also that the council and the mayor was involved in this, there was a low mileage van that, the CareLink, transferred to the Council on Aging that we get to use for, transportation for us when they go to the Senior Olympics. They just went to Senior Olympics this past week. And so we've got that van also, which the council is paying for the insurance and things like that.
Any additional questions? Okay, Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion second, on Benton Senior Citizen Center contract renewal. Any other questions? Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the Parks Budget Amendment for the early payoff of the light loan. As you recall, several years ago, the Parks Department signed a loan agreement for the Tyndall softball field lights. This was in the amount of $145,000 per year. This year's budget appropriated payment for 4 out of the 5 of that amount. So the Parks Department wishes to utilize the cash on hand within the Parks O&M fund to make the 5th payment, and to pay off the loan agreement. This will require a budget amendment, so we do need a resolution on this particular item. Any questions? So we made the four payments last year, Mindy, and then the 5th one this year. Is that right?
No, in 2025 budget, it has the 4th payment already budgeted. The 5th payment is what they're asking to be able to add to this year's budget. It won't go out effective immediately. It'll be, I think the 4th payment, I believe it's in July is when it's scheduled, so they'd like to make both payments at the same time.
Motion is second. Any other questions? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, the next, item, number 7, this is a police surplus of 2 cars. Chief Hodges is requesting a resolution authorizing the police department to discontinue service of police vehicles and the year and make, 2015 Dodge and a 2013 Dodge. Mileage is both of them are over 100,000. He's requesting that these units be removed from the inventory, be allowed to be auctioned as normal, and this is utilizing the online auction source. The police department will be responsible for setting up and maintaining the auctions.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and second. Additional questions? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We had a couple of retirements, so this next item is resolution awarding Curtis Wood his duty weapon and badge. Chief Hodges is again requesting we recognize the services of Curtis Wood after 30 years of service with the city of Benton. Present him with his duty weapon. This is a Glock Model 45. And his city of Benton police badge, number 2538. We do need a resolution recognizing Curtis Wood.
So moved.
Motion second. Chief, you have any comments? Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Okay, this next one is a resolution awarding Sissy Brown the wooden bench. This is presenting her with a wooden bench. This is property number 20-2904. That's been in the Benton Police Department's lobby since 1978. She does have 46 years of service with the city of Benton. I don't know if that's a record or not, but it's gotta be close to it. So we do need a resolution, recognizing Sissy Brown, and Chief Hodges, you have any comments on
I'm
that?
just here, should anyone have questions, it's a unique request.
Yes,
But
unique
it's the
request.
only request that she has ever made of me, and she made it many, many years ago. She said that is the only thing she wants. And, our records, although it's in our records as inventory, our inventory system didn't start till mid-nineties. So it's dated in there as 1/1 of 1978, and she started about a year and a half after that, so it's kind of special to her.
So
And
moved.
it looks like we paid $200 for that.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second on this resolution. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Hang
this,
on.
this is, we have one more resolution, and we're gonna cover the April financials. But this one is a resolution accepting donation of K-9. This is, to accept the donation. This is a 3-year-old Belgian Malinois,
Malinois?
Malinois, named Cash to the Benton Police Department. This is adding, Cash to our K-9 program. We have been budgeted for 4 K-9 units, but we currently only have 3. We're still waiting on the formal name of who is donating the K-9.
That's been entered,
Yeah, we
and
have it.
that name is Andy Force. I also brought, our K-9 instructor, Miles French here, to speak should you have any questions about any of this. He is familiar with the dog, has trained with that, K-9 several times. Would you like to speak on it? Speaking of this, so, Miles comes to us from Malvern Police Department. He had 5 years of service before coming to us. He's been with us since 2020. Another one of those we probably couldn't have hired had we not been in the lot fee system. And he was promoted to sergeant in February of this year. So Miles is our K-9 instructor.
Any specific questions y'all have on the dog or anything that he did prior to?
You've already worked with this dog
Yes.
specifically?
So when I received my second K-9, we did some additional training outside of the K-9 school with Andy Force, who's a K-9 sergeant from Morrison PD. He's also a K-9 instructor. We both instruct for the, Central Arkansas Police Police K-9 Training Group. So he had this dog donated to him by, let me pull up the name of it. It's a group that does training for service animals for veterans, kind of like therapy style dogs. But Cash, being a Belgian Malinois, didn't quite meet the, I guess, the qualifications for that. So he was donated to Andy initially by a female named Amanda Pipkin from Veterans Paw. He did not meet the qualifications for a therapy dog or a dog that could work for veterans, just due to the breed. Obviously, the breed that we use on the street to apprehend criminals and look for narcotics. He met all the qualifications for that to be a police service dog. Initially, he was donated to the city of Marshall PD, very, very small police department. I think they only have maybe 5 officers, and the only full-time officer they have is their chief. I think, if I remember right, I think they've gotten a new chief who's not real fond of dogs. And with them not having any other full-time officers, they don't have a large budget, so they weren't paying for anything for this dog, whether that be food, equipment, or anything like that. Very young dog, only 3 years old. Initially, when I came back with my second dog for some annual training, I worked with Cash when we had him, donated him. Great dog, very sociable. We worked with him a little bit 2 weeks ago when Andy received him back from Marshall. Any of the handlers that were there trained to take the leash and help him.
Does the dog cost?
Right now,
Not necessarily this one, but on average.
when we purchase a dog from where we've been getting dogs,
That includes the, training with that K-9 and the handler. Is it, how many weeks is it? 6? 6 weeks. So tell them a little bit about what kind of training you plan to put the dog through with the handler and the certification.
So because this dog was pre-trained, so he trained this dog once he received it from this organization in the field of what we do with it in law enforcement, and it met all the standards he needed it to meet. What we would do with this dog, it never got certified with the handler that he donated. Handler, I'm just gonna be honest, wasn't really into it, didn't put enough time into it, and couldn't pass certifications, and it wasn't because of anything the dog was doing, it was because of that handler. Me being an instructor and this dog already having free training, it's not a green dog meaning he knows nothing. He just came overseas and is waiting to be trained. I would only need probably 2 weeks with a handler to get them up to par. I'd be more or less training the handler, not the dog. And then we would certify through the National Narcotic Detector Dog Association, which is what we use for our standards and our certification. The national organization, they back you in court, and it looks really good on paper. Most defense attorneys, when they pull our records, don't even want to challenge it when it's through that organization, self-certifying organization.
Being the fact that he's being donated, he's already got some training, about how much do you think it's going to cost to go through this additional certification?
So the certification is $55 a year. We just pay it directly out of the canine budget. I would just rearrange my schedule and just use the same normal hours and work with the handler, and they would do the same thing. So they'd still be getting paid the normal amount that they would. The only expenses we would have with it are what we would normally have with any canine, that being food, vet bills, and equipment.
Because we're set up for 4 dogs and we only have 3. So if this dog wasn't being donated, we would be seeking out in the next 6 months to a year to purchase a dog at just shy of 15,000. And then we'd be sending that officer, that handler that's selected, is it North Carolina? North Carolina, for 6 weeks of training. So it's a win-win for us.
And we do already have a canine Tahoe that was for the 4th position that's already been set up, so we don't have to purchase it.
We're set up.
The only expenses, like I said, are gonna be equipment. The department that had this dog didn't spend any money on it, so it's gonna be things like, e-collars, muzzles, leashes, things that we can order directly from vendors that sell those things.
What about a canine?
Yes, so we are being donated a 4th free ballistic canine vest. Our 3 current dogs, they've already been donated one. We don't have them yet. We had to measure them for them, send all those measurements off. They don't wear them all the time on patrol. It's for specific circumstances like a search warrant or things like that. But that's a very expensive item that a private organization is donating to us, so we will have them for that 4th dog as well.
Chairman Morrow, I make a motion to accept the dog.
Okay, motion? Second. Second. The only last question I have is age of cash, and Belgian is the other breeds, I'm assuming they're all German Shepherds.
Most agencies have gone away from German Shepherds because of health problems. Belgian Malinois is a hybrid breed made up of German Shepherds and a couple of breeds. How it works, but that's normally what the police departments are using when they have a dog that is an apprehension dog, and they will act suspect because they're very athletic.
Shepherd breaks down in their hips.
They do look a lot like German Shepherds.
So normally we get a dog around 18 to 24 months, and we keep them until they're 8 to 10 years old, paying close attention to them after 6 years old, more vet visits, checks of the hip areas. So with Cash being 3 years old, we would expect to get 5 to 7 out of Cash. Again, paying attention to those final 3 to 4 years.
Okay. All right, very good. We have a motion and second on the table. Then I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, the only other item we have on the agenda is we're gonna go through the April 2025 financials as we normally do. You'll open your binder, you'll see the left-hand side of the opening page there, you'll see the sales and use tax collections for the general fund. And then after that, you'll see it for that's the 2.5, and you'll see the 1% sales tax, and the public safety, the 0.5 cent. Quarter cent, street improvement. Mandy, I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Spice, I'll turn it over to you to cover any, like, key key things that have you noticed, or whether it be on the expense side or the revenue side?
Sure, if you'll switch over to general fund tab, you'll notice that for, monthly, the revenues did exceed the expenditures, $86,324.35. Year to date, we are still a little bit in the red, but we're moving in the right direction. We are still sitting at, available unrestricted balance of $3,052,138.82. In the financial stability fund balance, there's $1,626,412.64. There were no, in the general fund or any of the other funds really, there's no large purchases made, cars, vehicles or anything. I know in the street department, they're working on a couple of projects. The animal shelter is well being built. Mr. Parsons is telling us every day pretty much different things. It should be in the draw by the end of the week. As far as the PD, the renovation, that's the other ARPA project out right now. The renovations are doing really well. We should be done with both of those projects. The projected date is by the end of the year. So we're doing really well as far as those. Again, those projects you won't see in the general fund. You'll see those back in the special revenue pile, because those are utilizing the ARPA. I don't mind sitting down with anybody to go over these financials line by line. Any questions that you might have, just get with me after the meeting.
Andy, quick question.
Sure.
As far as ARPA projects, water line, city hall, police station, animal services, were there any other particular?
This building was also one. Yes. No, not with ARPA, not with ARPA. So in the ARPA, there was $3 million that was Benton Utilities projects. That was one of them. And then they had the sludge basin and the clear well. Those both have finished already. And then their last project is the downtown water. And there was $500,000 for the animal shelter, $500,000 for $1.5 million, I believe, for PD, and then trying to think what came out for ours. 2.1.
Andy, are y'all at all worried about the continuing, I guess, decrease over last year's revenue? Like on the first page, just in the general fund sales tax, it continues to.
Yes, we have that.
And a lot of those savings had to do with vacant, like, let's say in the police department, it was, savings that have already been realized with vacancies earlier in the year.
Cut out.
Any more questions for Ms. Spicer? Okay, seeing none, we'll call this meeting adjourned at 6:03. And now we'll have the commissioners meeting. And for that, we'll turn that over to Spencer Cole. You'll have the commissioners meeting. I'll turn it over to you.
Jeff Ham?
The lines?
Jeff Morrow?
Bill Donner.
Frank Baptist. So moved.
Yes, Actually, you have a resolution, confirming the appointment of Gary Farrell, as commissioner of the, PUC. I don't know if y'all remember, he was on the commission for quite a long time and has a wealth of historical knowledge as well as industry knowledge, and he has, chosen to come back with our, chairman, having, to move to Denver for relocation. And they advertised, and there was actually other applicants, and the other applicant was actually very, good applicant as well, and one that I hope that he has, his industry knowledge was very, can be very useful, I think, in the future for us as well. So we had two great applicants, but Gary, was the one that was, being brought forward, and again, he's been on the commission, been chairman of it for quite a while, and so we're excited to have him back. Comes to maybe our commission, if they could just say it, or somehow we could have the idea of what they're gonna put in these things. Right, I'm just saying, in the future, every time that there is one, I think that's an important question, for me at least, is do we already know what the plan is of what they're gonna put there? So we could have that on all of them.
Have you been operating a business out of it, or what's the deal here?
This individual requested it be rezoned from R2 to C2 in 2017 with the intent of developing some commercial things on this property. That didn't pan out. It is completely surrounded by R2 zoning, and he's got a plan now to put houses on the property. So he's requesting it be brought back to the R2 status.
townhouses?
Keep them awake.